Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where again today we are talking about Manchester United and their winning performance, this time with a 3-1 win over Everton in the FA Cup, so I hope you enjoy it. Today's video is kindly sponsored by the OneFootball app. Now, the way that I would describe the OneFootball app for me personally is the hub of everything that you need to do with football. Whether it's team news, player statistics, transfer news, league tables, fixtures, match stats, player statistics, everything. There really is everything that you need on the app, and they cover all of the top leagues all around the world, with certain leagues getting special coverage, like the Serie A for example, where every weekend of the season there is a match that you can watch literally for free. This weekend, literally tonight, it is Monza at home to Inter, and Inter recently beat league leaders Napoli, so Inter are trying to make a title charge, so that should be a good game to watch. I will certainly be watching it live on the app, and you can too, either by using the link in the description down below, or by using this QR code which will pop on screen now. It really is easier than ever to download the OneFootball app and have access to everything that you need in football, so make sure to check it out. So in my opinion, once again, this wasn't the most convincing Manchester United performance. Despite scoring 3 goals, I don't think they were actually that great. Everton did cause a couple of problems, however, in the end, Manchester United have a bit of star quality in their team at the moment, a player who no one really seems to be able to stop, and in Marcus Rashford, Manchester United almost have a sense of inevitability about them at the moment. It always feels like United are going to score, which is a really good thing to have. Even when they're not playing well, it feels like a matter of time before they score, and this time they didn't play well and they scored 3 goals still. So that's a good thing to have. However, Ten Hag will be wary of the fact of an over-reliance on Marcus Rashford moving forward could be a problem, and I think it's important that Manchester United, as we move forward, become a bit more well-rounded and other players step up to the plate in terms of goal output. However, in this game, it really was Rashford that was the difference maker. But let's talk about some of the tactics that we saw on display, kind of how the game unfolded, and it actually didn't go the way that I thought it was going to go. Everton went with a slightly different shape to what I expected, and they also sat deeper than I thought they would. So this meant that Rafa Varane and Luke Shaw at centre-back, this partnership back in the team, had a lot of time on the ball at the back, with Gray and Maupay both dropping off, sitting deep, and this meant that Manchester United were able to build possession quite easily and step forward, move the ball towards the halfway line, from where they then used a sort of 3-1 shape. We have Dalot, Varane and Shaw as the back 3, with Casemiro just in front of them. This of course allowed Malacia to push much further forward down the left hand side, and also allowed Christian Eriksen to move forward alongside Bruno Fernandes. And this was sort of the shape that United used. Yes, it could change. At times Eriksen would perhaps be deeper and Shaw might step forward, or at times we saw Malacia and Shaw swapping. There were also situations where Bruno Fernandes dropped deep, but in general this was kind of the rough shape, and of course from here Shaw's allowed to step forward wider of the centre forward here, and Dalot's allowed to do the same down the right hand side to try and get Manchester United moving forward. However, what we can see here is one issue that United are going to face, and that is the fact that there's men around Casemiro. And there were actually situations when Casemiro moved a little bit further forward that he literally had this kind of surrounding of 5 players around him, which made it quite difficult for him to get on the ball. And I'll be honest, this was his worst performance in recent months. He wasn't as good in this game as what he has been, but that's fair enough because he has set a ridiculously high standard. However, what this did mean was it meant that United struggled to progress the ball through the middle a little bit. Now, some of this is down to Everton's system. When you've got 3 centre-backs, 3 central midfielders and then 2 strikers all willing to do defensive work, it does make it quite difficult to move the ball through the pitch, but this then of course means that there is an over-reliance on kind of creating something out wide. And kind of the difference between the first half and the second half was how well Manchester United performed out wide. I thought in the first half, down the left-hand side was the only real threat, lack of threat down the right-hand side. However, in the second half that changed. So in the first half what we saw was Christian Eriksen kind of playing in his left half space as he usually does, Bruno Fernandes drifting over to the right to the left, as he always does, Martial drifting over to the left, and what we can see is the problem that this is going to create. Antony becomes isolated on the right-hand side, so that is an issue that we will come back to. However, what getting all these players to the left-hand side does do is it creates overloads on this side of the pitch, and it allows you to get players like Marcus Rashford on the ball, and at the moment, if you can get Marcus Rashford on the ball, you've got a very decent chance of scoring a goal. I also thought that Malacia was quite impressive with the way that he played as well. I thought his timing of when to overlap and when to underlap, always allowing Rashford to kind of get into the optimal position, was really quite useful. Sometimes he's making runs past to kind of drag Coleman back, allowing Rashford to carry the ball forward, and I think obviously Rashford will get the headlines for this performance. I thought Malacia had done a good job of kind of making these runs forward to drag the Everton players, giving Rashford this extra bit of room. Before we continue with the analysis, I want to talk to you guys about JerseyFIFA.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that's the latest home shirts, the latest away shirts, tracksuits, or even retro kits, Jersey FIFA has a bit of everything. There really is something for everyone, so if you are interested, then make sure to use the link in the description down below and head to JerseyFIFA.com. From here, I also thought that Martial played really well, and Everton had a big problem with their defence, in the fact that all the centre-backs wanted to step backwards, but all the midfielders wanted to step forward. So someone like Iwobi would kind of step forward, come out and deal with this, but the centre-backs always want to drop off. And what this then does is it creates this corridor just in front of the centre-backs where there's a lot of room to get on the ball, and this was where Martial performed really well. And when United were able to go forward with the ball and then pop the ball backwards, that was when United looked at their best. When they could get it forward to Martial and then pop it backwards, this is how the likes of Eriksen, Bruno Fernandes, but also Casemiro could now get a bit extra room. And this was the way that Manchester United looked to play forward. However, in the first half in general, they did struggle. Another one of the problems that United faced was just a lack of quality on the ball. There are certain games where you're not doing anything wrong tactically, but from a personal point of view, players just aren't quite on it. They're not quite sharp enough. The first touch isn't quite good enough. I thought that United were a bit guilty of that. Particularly down this right-hand side, I thought Antony and Dalot had, in the first 30 minutes, some moments where they're trying to link the play with each other, and it just wasn't good enough. Like, the link play that they were doing wasn't very effective at all, some sloppy passes, losing the ball to the likes of Idrissa Gana Gueye. However, they're not helped by the fact that Bruno Fernandes just doesn't get over in this half space often enough. With him moving over to the left-hand side, it does leave Antony so isolated. And when you've got a wing-back and a centre-back, that just makes it really difficult for him to kind of get forward, take him on, and make something happen. With that being said, I do still think we can see more from Antony. He has this habit to get into this position, kind of ball rolls his way up the pitch 5 yards, but then just plays sideways. Plays inside to Dalot, or inside to Casemiro, or further back to Bruno Fernandes in this sort of area. At times I would like to see him be a bit braver, try and go at Mykolenko. Antony isn't the quickest player in the world, but I still think with a bit of skill and a burst of pace, he could get past someone like Mykolenko, so I would like to see more attacking intent from him. But without that, United lacked real threat in these kind of situations where Everton were in their set position. When Everton was set in this 5-3-2 with these three central midfielders forcing Manchester United outside of them, like this, Everton looked pretty solid. However, United did still carry one major threat in the first half. As we have seen time and time again this season, Manchester United's major threat in the first half was when Everton had the ball and Manchester United could win it back and then transition. Especially because Everton were looking to push their wing-backs forward to try and trouble United, we can see that the spaces it is going to leave. And then when you've got ball winners like Casemiro in the midfield, it allowed United to counter and play forward. And once again, there was that same kind of criminal error in the Everton system. And this is on Frank Lampard, this isn't good enough from his team. His midfielders are trying to step forward to press, but his centre-backs are stepping off because they are absolutely terrified of the Manchester United counter-attack. And again, what does this do? It creates this corridor in front of the centre-backs where Martial is able to get the ball. Now, you can't really let any player at this level get the ball in this position this easily. But especially not someone like Martial, who is so good at getting the ball, turning and then bringing others into the game. And this is where Manchester United really looked at their most threatening. Getting Rashford into this area in a 1-versus-1 up against Ben Godfrey, Antony making runs as well, and of course that's where the first goal comes from. Rashford doing some skill down this side, getting forward, putting the ball across on his left foot, and Antony putting it into the back of the net. And this was, for me, Manchester United's main threat in the first half. Unfortunately for them, they went on to concede a very, very sloppy goal. I don't even want to talk about it. But this meant that they needed a response in the second half, and to an extent they did get one. So at half time, with things not quite going to plan, Erik ten Hag makes a slight tweak. What he does is he swaps Christian Eriksen to this right hand side and moves Bruno Fernandes to a left hand side. Like I said, the issues in the first half was that everyone was on the left hand side, there was no player in this right half space. Now they had a player in this area in Christian Eriksen. So even if United were forced once again outside of Everton's midfield, they still had quality delivery into the box from this area. But I thought the major shift that we saw in the second half was, one, an improved sharpness, particularly from Dalot and Antony down this side of the pitch, but also more attacking emphasis on this right wing. And it just made United look a lot better. And suddenly, the likes of Antony, the likes of Dalot, but also the likes of Christian Eriksen, were able to link up with each other and create things, make things happen in this area. And like I said, United were instantly, infinitely improved. We also saw Martial occasionally drifting over to this side to link the play, from where he would kind of get the ball here and then again lay it backwards, which is again where United then looked at their best, when they could go forward, then pop the ball off backwards, then play from there. For me, that's where I thought United were really good. And with United combining down this side of the pitch quite well, Everton were kind of dragged out into these wider areas to try and deal with it. Typically something that we see over on the other side of the pitch when we watch United. But what it done was it created space on the other side of the pitch for Marcus Rashford. In the first half, he was getting a bit crowded out in these set positions when Everton were in their defensive shape. However, in this half, what United done well was built down the right-hand side, drew Everton onto them down this side of the pitch, and then hit switches. And again, I think Malacia deserves a lot of credit. And we actually saw it for the second goal. Malacia makes the run through the pitch here, which drags Coleman back, allows Dalot to get the ball out to Marcus Rashford, and then Marcus Rashford has more time to drive forward with the ball, drive into the box, and again he works the ball onto his left foot, puts the ball across, and Connor Cody scores the own goal. But again, it comes from quality play from Rashford, direct play from Marcus Rashford, but also a really good off-the-ball run from Tyrell Malacia. Again, he won't get the headlines for this performance because he didn't do anything special, and even on the ball, he didn't do anything massively impressive. But I just thought that his movement, his runs off the ball, were really, really good to free up Marcus Rashford. And like I said, for the second goal, we saw him dragging Coleman away, allowing Rashford to get the ball, and this did work a bit better for United. And I wonder if it's something that we could see a bit more moving forward. Put more focus on building the ball down the right-hand side, and then use Rashford as an isolation winger on the switch. Perhaps that's something that we could see a little more often, but we'll have to wait and see. United's subs also had a good impact once again, with Rashford moving up front, Garnacho going to a left wing, and Fred coming on again in midfield. And just on Fred, I think he's doing a really good job at the moment as a bit of a super sub. And it's something that Ten Hag is using really well in the squad. When his team seems to tire around the 70th minute and they need that injection of tempo, intensity, Fred is almost a perfect player to go for, or to go to do that. And he's doing a really good job and kind of proving himself to be a valuable player of Ten Hag's squad at the moment. Now, will that be the case in the long term? We're not too sure. But at the moment, he's doing a really good job of impacting the team from the bench. I thought Garnacho done well as well. We know how he wants to play. He wants to get the ball, and always, 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 his first touch is forward. And he always puts the defender on the back foot, and that is so dangerous. Of course, we saw it late on. He gets forward, wins the penalty, which then Marcus Rashford finished very well. And overall, United were deserving of their 3-1 win. Do I think it was the best performance in the world? No, I think the first half in particular was quite sloppy at times. I thought there was a lack of balance to the way that the team was playing. However, that tweak from Ten Hag at half-time to move Eriksen to the right-hand side just seemed to provide a greater balance. They got the best out of Antony a bit more, and then subsequently we saw better from Rashford on the left-hand side because he had more space to attack. So good tweaks from Ten Hag at half-time, and he deserves a lot of credit because he's got United on a good running win of form. Good winning run of form, and yeah, United deserve a lot of credit. However, I do still think they need to keep improving. In terms of my preview for this video, for this match, I said that United need to find another gear. I don't think they've done that, but they still won quite comfortably. However, moving forward, United do need to find another level, because there are some tough games coming up. But in the meantime, United are winning, so there's not too much to say. So that's all I've got to say for this video. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below, though. What do you make of Rashford's form at the moment? What is the reason behind this inspired form that he's in? What do you think of Fred as a super sub from the bench? What did you think of Dalot's performance, Casemiro's performance, Bruno Fernandes? All of that stuff, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, I will see you in the next one.